Sweet.
We are currently live. Just need to share the link. Hopefully it populated. Yes, it did. Oh, this looks sick.
Let's go.
Hopefully people aren't just staring at the map of the election. They just want to talk some football right now.
Look, if I have to stare at another map of the United States and I don't have a quiz on it within the next 2 days, it's not worth my time. I haven't stared at a map this long since I was in the 6th grade.
For real, bro. All day. It's like just tell me who wins. I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah, that's what I need. It's like, man, just give me the winner. Give me the winner and the loser. What do we think? Yeah. Glasses on, glasses off. Oh no, with the light. Oh, that's glare. We're going no glasses.
I was gonna wear like a tux and shit if I was like, nah, we'll do that for end of the year.
Remind me, I will order a tuxedo T-shirt.
I like that.
I will get one.
We'll go all out for it. So excellent. We got like 7 people, 8 people in here, 9.
Let's go.
Where you can see it. So let's just jump right into it, bro. Let's get into it.
All right.
Whew. Welcome to the Real Deal Fantasy Smash Hit Sports Combo with my boy Cody joining me. We're doing a mid-season award show. This should be dope.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a lot of awards. Some good, some bad, some ugly. We're going to get to them.
Let's go with the bad first, man. Like, I want to jump right into the most disappointing players, bro. This is like heavy because these guys we really wanted to depend on and like really, thought these guys would show up and show out. We draft these guys at their ADPs. We draft these guys, as our late sleepers, etc. Like it varies between, what I mean. You want to go name these guys?
Look, we'll go ahead and name them. And no, this is not my entire fantasy roster, but it sounds like it sometimes. We're going to start out. Chris Godwin, drafted high in the wide receivers, had a phenomenal year last year, ended as wide receiver 2. He's in the list of nominees. Next is AJ Green. As a Bengals fan, it hurts to see him up here, but it is what it is. He has yet to score a touchdown this year. That is absolutely heartbreaking.
That's
DJ Chark. DJ Chark just got married. Congratulations, DJ. I know you're watching. Shout out to DJ Chark, but he's on the list. And then Kenyon Drake, who, everybody who's like, yeah, I drafted a Arizona Cardinals running back last year, and that turned out great. Let's do it again this year. Certainly that, drafting a Cardinals running back in the first round couldn't be bad twice in a row.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Drake is definitely like a heavy hitter to where I'm like, yeah, bro, you kind of took this award and ran away with it. Reason why I wouldn't give it to Godwin is because it's injury related. It's not really too much so of his performance.
Yeah. That would be my biggest thing too with Godwin is injuries are tough, and if injuries were going to be the deciding factor for this, I mean, you could put a lot of guys on this list. Saquon Barkley, obviously being out for the year is tough. A lot, drafted as the 102. That killed a lot of fantasy players seasons early. Same with Christian McCaffrey, not having played since week 2. He's supposed to be back in the lineup this week. So that should be exciting for all the McCaffrey owners who've held out. Mike Davis has really balled out. I'm sure we'll talk about him later, but it's been tough with Godwin. I think the biggest thing is it's been like, oh, he's questionable this week. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? He had the concussion. He broke a finger. It wasn't just one, hey, he's injured, he's out. Don't worry about him in your lineups. It's been oh, is he gonna that false hope. It's like being a Bengals fan. He gives you a little hope and then you just die. And it's terrible.
What pisses me off? It's like, come on, man. He'll be healthy, he'll play a game, and then the next game he's hurt.
Yep.
Play a game,
and it's tough.
And he's hurt. Plays a game and then he's hurt. That's really where we're at with Chris Godwin. If you look at his game log, it's like, come on, man. And you got to sit here and think do I really want, to trade him? Do I really want to keep on to him for the rest of the season? We're midway through the season. He only played 4 games.
Yeah. And it's tough because at this point you're selling low and you never want to do that.
On a high investment like that.
Yep. And especially for a guy who Chris Godwin last year played all 16 games. He hasn't been a guy who injuries have really been an issue for him in the past. So it sucks to see him down here, but
it is what it is. But again, he's not the winner of this though. I mean, can we agree it's on Drake?
Yes. All right. Kenyon Drake has been he was drafted in the first round, right? And anytime you take a running back in the first round, you expect him to produce. He just hasn't so far. And there have been games where he's been outsnapped by Chase Edmonds. Honestly, I mean, if you look at the tape, just watching him play, Chase Edmonds has looked a little more explosive. And I don't know if Kenyon Drake, maybe he's a little banged up. I could not tell you. He hasn't been on the injury report. He has been lately. But early in the season, I mean, just underperformed. I personally think Kyler Murray has been the biggest vulture of Kenyon Drake's success. He already has 7 rushing touchdowns so far this year.
I did not see that coming, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, which I'm sure Kyler Murray might get talked about later. But, yeah, nobody expected him to have 7 rushing touchdowns so far this year. So, yeah, we can give the award of most disappointing player. I don't know what that award would be. Maybe a nice roll of toilet paper or something.
Yeah, let's say I can't find toilet paper at this point, but
sadly. All right, so
chip bag there.
Most disappointing player, Kenyon Drake. Congratulations.
Kenyon Drake is the winner. Now, moving on to the next one. Now, this one was like a funny name. I couldn't even really think of a name, but RKO out of nowhere.
Give me the Randy Orton theme music.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Nowhere. Like, dude, this category was really just like guys that really surprised me, being that their ADPs were nothing in like anything above like maybe the 12th round or even undrafted. You know what I mean? So it's like Robbie Anderson for number 1, you know what I mean? Out of nowhere, had a really good camp. Myles Gaskins in years 2. He's actually RB17 right now, which is dope. Being that he's dealing with injury right now, it is what it is. But he's still, a good solid RB2. Deontay Johnson, he's another guy that he can explode when given opportunity, but can he stay healthy? Yep. And then my guy that I believe he wins this award is Mike Davis, RB8 right now in PPR formats, which is amazing. Stepping up when he needed to, next man up mentality without Christian McCaffrey. That's hard shoes to fill. You know what I mean? Like, if we think about it, let's be honest, for him finishing RB8 right now, we already know McCaffrey would be 1 or 2 or 3 right now. So for him to finish top 10 right now in PPR and that offense without CMC and they're winning games, that's amazing, man.
I think the Carolina Panthers, I mean, talking about both Robbie Anderson and Mike Davis here, the Carolina Panthers offense has been better than I think a lot of people expected. I was really I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but brush shoulder on. Do one of those. But I was high on the Panthers offense going into this year just because I was a believer in Matt Rule, what he did at Temple and Baylor. Those teams were able to put up points. And then Joe Brady last year led the most dynamic offense in the history of college football at LSU. He was the offensive coordinator there. He dominated with Joe Burrow and all those offensive weapons. They came in, they went out and brought in Robbie Anderson. And you knew that they were going to use that running back position to the max because Joe Brady did it at LSU, and they also have one of the most dynamic weapons in football in Christian McCaffrey. So seeing that, unfortunately McCaffrey went down, Mike Davis was able to step up and take on that role. And it's been really, really cool to see. Really, really cool to see.
It really is. Dynamic. We always knew the dude can ball out, but RB8 to be saying this 8 weeks later, if we were talking about this in maybe July, August, Mike Davis will be a top 10 running back in PPR formats. We'll be laughing right now, you know what I mean? Even knowing that, CMC is hurt. I wouldn't even suspect that to be happening right now, even, CMC going down with that injury very early in the season. I had to look at his stats and really look at what the hell he's doing. He's actually putting up good points week to week. Solid RB2. Yeah,
and you watch him play, like Good Morning Football does the angry runs. This guy runs hard. He doesn't, he's not moseying on out of bounds. Like, he's putting his shoulder down and getting the extra yards. He's been phenomenal to watch. And so I don't think he's going to win the award but I think we should talk about him a little bit. Myles Gaskin. Oof. A lot of this Dolphins running backs room was interesting, to say the least. Coming into the offseason, they traded for Jordan Howard. They traded for Matt Breida from the 49ers. And Myles Gaskin was already on the roster. And you go, well, if they go out and they get those guys, maybe they don't have a whole lot of faith in their current running back room. And Gaskin showed up and showed out. And he's been the bell cow for an offense that, has been pretty decent so far. Yeah. So Myles Gaskin, we'll see who wins the award, but he's been exciting to watch. All right, are we doing 3, 2, 1?
But the thing is too, like, to have that running back room so crowded in the offseason, and for him not even be a guy mentioned in any blogger, any report, and then he just steps up when Jordan Howard's being like the goal line, hawk dog or whatever you want to call him, the pest. And it's like, damn, man, I wish I was Gaskins getting those touchdowns because that would like elevate his, fantasy week to week to like skyrocket. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that was the only thing that was hindering him to actually be a RB1 week to week, honestly. So he's like a solid guy. You went undrafted, waiver wire hero. I mean, if we can make that, a title, another category, waiver wire hero, he has to be nominated as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I got another waiver wire guy that I really like too, but we can talk about him later. So all right, RKO out of nowhere award. Who we got? 3, 2, 1, who we got?
Mike Davis.
Mike Davis, let's go. I'm all in on Mike Davis. RB8, dude has been an absolute beast.
Man.
We'll see if he gets a limited role with CMC coming back.
I honestly hope they do, though. I honestly think they keep him involved just so CMC doesn't get hurt again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Joe Brady's has the wherewithal of saying, hey, look, we have two guys who, when you get them the ball, they make plays. Let's make sure they both get the ball. So I think he will be used in the rest of the season. So we had guys who broke out, right? What about guys we were on and they just haven't quite gotten there yet? Haven't quite gotten there yet.
But is there still a chance though? That's where we really need the question.
I know we're halfway through the year.
Yeah.
So the list, we're going to start Marvin Jones out in Detroit. I love you, Marvin Jones. You were so good for me last year. Where are you? Where are you?
Do you exist? Do you still play for them?
We already talked about the Dolphins. Mike Gesicki, everybody, the hype. He's a young tight end. He's ready to break out. He's been in this offense for a while. He's had some flashes, but then he's also had some games where he didn't show up, and it's tough.
Shit the bed.
We're going to go with the little scat back Nyheim Hines out in Indy. Everybody, Phillip Rivers, captain check down. So he hasn't quite, especially, after that monster performance he put up in week 1. And then T.Y. Hilton, another Colts offensive weapon. The ghost has ghosted his fantasy owners. It's been tough. So what are your thoughts on some of these guys on this list?
Honestly, I think the biggest letdown for me, honestly, is Nyheim Hines with I'm not saying he wins or anything, he's nominated, but I feel like for me personally, where we heard Marlon Mack was out of the way, we were hoping for Marlon Mack, not to sign, and then it'll be Nyheim Hines's, breakout year next season once Marlon Mack's out of the way. So I figured Jonathan Taylor would be like the, the downhill runner, the main, runner to get the goal line touches, etc. And Nyheim Hines will be the check down PPR god. That was supposed to happen with Rivers, being his quarterback. So it's kind of like, damn, man, I took you everywhere in all my leagues. I took you everywhere hoping you could be like a solid flex, and it just hasn't worked out. But now that we saw him have flashes, he put up a monster game on everybody's benches. If you started Nyheim Hines last week, I'm going to call you a liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar. You're a liar.
Last week was shallow and a lot of running backs were down. So there might be a couple people who are out there who got desperate. But yeah, he's had 2 phenomenal games this year, and then everything in between has been kind of spotty. It's just been kind of interesting with you'd figure after all the success that Austin Eckler had last year receiving, that the Phillip Rivers and the Colts would really try to use Nyheim Hines. And especially after a lot of fantasy managers spent, I know personally in a league that I was in, we had a manager spend a quarter of his fab budget on Nyheim Hines, and he just hasn't quite been there. So we'll see in the second half of the year. The Colts got a pretty tough schedule going forward. They play Baltimore this weekend. So we'll see if he's continued to be used. Who, to me, honest. So this is my vote, and I don't know what you think here, but mine has to be T.Y. Hilton. Where he was drafted with his ADP, it's been tough. It has been so tough.
He was like in the 5th or 6th round, which is still, a decent. Like you would think it's a steal for a guy that's a wide receiver 1, supposed to be a wide receiver 1 that has now a Phillip Rivers, not saying he's going to air the ball out every time, but you're the wide receiver one with a veteran quarterback. So you would think they would go hand in hand.
Well, and Phillip Rivers has shown in the past, to be able to target wide receivers that are able to get open. And T.Y. Hilton is known for his route running and being shifty, very similar, a guy very similar to Keenan Allen that Phillip Rivers had in L.A. last year, but he just hasn't been able to do it. Has yet to eclipse 70 yards, has not scored a touchdown yet this season.
I think the most points he scored was 12 points, and that was one game. And everything else has been less than 10 points.
Yeah, it's tough. I hope that he can show out because I've always been a fan of the Ghost. Living in Indiana, he's been fun to watch, but unfortunately he hasn't quite stepped up to the table. And
it's not even like it's injuries because he just recently had deal with injury. He's been healthy. So it's like, what's going on?
Yep. So, all right, I'm gonna count down from 3. We're gonna say our vote. We'll see who we got here for our biggest letdown. 3, 2, 1. T.Y. Hilton. What?
Here's
hey on me, bro.
Listen?
Marvin Jones?
Marvin Jones is he's our guy, but the hugest letdown because when he was rewarded to step up as the wide receiver one with Kenny Galladay out in the beginning of the season, we're thinking, yes, it's Marvin time. Yes, Marvin's going to be killing it right now. I got him in the 12th round, 13th round. He's a steal of the draft. He did wonders for us last season. We're going into that with that mindset. Like now, Marvin Jones, Matthew Stafford's healthy now. Boom, touchdown city. Does it happen? No.
It's been tough. It's been tough. And it's one of those things where the Lions offense has been pretty decent. I mean, TJ Hawkinson has played a pretty good role. That running game is okay. It's, not exceptional, but when have the Lions ever had an exceptional running game? Not in my lifetime. So it's been kind of tough to see Marvin Jones not be able to excel, especially when he was up there in the team targets. So who knows? Hopefully he can expand and maybe he will succeed more in that second wide receiver role with Galladay opposite. But Galladay's got to stay healthy too, and that's been something that's been a letdown this year for fantasy owners as well. So
for sure,
since we're split, if you were watching this live, tweet at us, comment, whatever you got to do. Let us know who you think who's been the biggest letdown on your roster so far this year.
For real. I mean, there's 6-7 people that are in here right now. Comment. Who do you think your biggest letdowns are? But for now, we're going to move on to the next subject, and we'll probably come back to it.
All right. So the next item on the list, in the words of my girl from Frozen, you got to let it go. Let it go. It's okay. All right. Sometimes the sweet release of getting a guy off your roster is you don't have to worry about it anymore. All right. It's like it's a bad girlfriend. You keep texting, right? Your ex keeps coming around, but hey, what's up? And they slide into the DMs. You got to cut them off. So without further ado, LQ, give us our guys who you just need to let go from your roster.
Ooh, okay. T.Y. Hilton. I mean, we just spoke about him. Big letdown. Like Harry, man. Oh. And then Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen was here with me in the offseason, but I'll touch on him quickly. And then Chris Herndon, and it's like, bro, what happened?
I will tell you what happened with Chris Herndon. God put a man on this earth, and his entire plan was he put him on this earth in order to prevent offenses from scoring points. He is the greatest defensive mind of our generation. He is absolutely unbelievable. This man could stop a river. He is an absolute dam. He's a brick wall. This guy is unbelievable. He put him in the Defensive Hall of Fame. Adam Gase can kill an offense faster than any man I've ever seen.
For sure.
Oh, my God. He was brutal in Miami. He has been nothing but brutal for the Jets. They have yet to win a game. They have 4 passing touchdowns on the year, which we will get to that statistic, but that's the second worst in the NFL right now. That Jets offense is miserable. It is miserable.
You can't know how you suit up and go out there and play.
No.
I don't know.
No. I mean, I get it. You gotta show out for a paycheck and show out for the GM, and hopefully they keep you on the roster after they let everybody go this offseason.
Everybody.
But you gotta You got to hope maybe they can turn it around and get a new coach. I am just absolutely devastated that Adam Gase has not been fired yet, except like, I guess if the Jets want the number 1 pick, the smart thing to do would be to keep Adam Gase around.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is fantasy kryptonite. Robbie Anderson has been let go from the wings of Adam Gase. And I mean, just look what he's done in Carolina. I mean, when you go from a guy like Adam Gase to a guy like Joe Brady, I mean, top 10 wide receiver. So
Top 10.
Yeah, Chris Herndon. I'm sorry that I was hoping that he would be traded at the trade deadline. I was hoping he would go to like Houston, Cincinnati. There are a lot of teams that could use a good athletic tight end, and nobody bit. This trade deadline absolute stinker.
Yeah, it sucked. I think it was COVID, but
it's tough to get guys moving around in between buildings and stuff. So, but yeah, Chris Herndon, it's been nice. It's been fun. Later, pal. You're no longer on my roster, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah, he wins it just straight out, just not even based on him. It's really just Adam Gates. It's kind of to the point, like you said, we see Robbie Anderson lifted. Now he's a top 10 wide receiver, but this isn't the first time we've seen Ryan Tannehill get away from Gates. Look at him now, thriving. Yep. Last year's Kenyon Drake at the end of that season, he was looking great.
Devontae Parker had a phenomenal year last year in Miami.
Exactly. So it's like, it's obviously him. I don't know how he still has a job. I don't know who he has the nudes of, but bro.
No, he's got some dirt on somebody. He's got some dirt on somebody.
But to touch on quickly too, it's like Greg Olsen in the offseason, this is how I looked at it as. I wasn't expecting the moon and the stars from him. I was expecting mediocre numbers. And what I mean by that, I thought he would be relevant some weeks based on matchups and be kind of touchdown dependent. But man, we're 8 weeks in and no life, nothing at all. Like, even though Russell Wilson's balling out, you know what I mean? That's my issue.
Yep. And the forecast doesn't get any better for Olsen. Will Dissly actually outsnapped him last week for the first time. Dissly unfortunately had that ACL injury last year that ended his season. He had a top, I don't know if it was top 5, but I know he had a top 10 tight end season going into his ACL tear. So it's good to see Dissly back out there and healthy. Unfortunately, Greg Olsen's time on your roster has come to an end.
For sure.
You got to cut ties there. So it's been tough.
Like, all these guys are droppable, man. Like, they're all winners in my book. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Harry, I honestly don't know what it is. He's a fucking big body receiver, very talented. Cam Newton's looking like shit ever since he came back from COVID. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's still sick. Underlying injury we don't know about. But man, oh man, it's looking terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots roster is devoid of a lot of talent, and it is tough. I think N'Keal Harry has not been put in phenomenal opportunities. At the same time, I don't think he has taken advantage of the opportunities he's had.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mentioned when I was talking about Adam Gase and how the Jets have 4 passing touchdowns. The Patriots have three passing touchdowns through 7 games.
That's tough. Patrick
Mahomes has 3 games of 3+ touchdowns this season. I mean, it's unfortunately, like, if you own a Patriots pass catcher, it's time to let him go. There is not a weapon on that offense that I consider startable by any means. And there are very few that I would consider even rosterable. Outside of maybe Damian Harris, James White, and Cam Newton, I don't think anybody on that team is rosterable. There's not a wide receiver I'm owning with Julian Edelman being hurt. I mean,
even Edelman himself, you can't even really like put him in your starting lineup.
Yeah,
I mean, he's terrible.
Well, and he's going on IR, so there's let him go.
Yeah, man, drop him, man. I mean, let's talk about the winner, man. We really don't need to go much into T.Y. Hilton. We already kicked his back in, so
it's tough. It's tough, T.Y. I love you,
but you gotta go, man. But I think the winner here, the must drop. You want to do it on 3 again?
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Chris Herndon.
I was gonna say that, but yeah, there you go. I thought you were gonna go against me on this one.
Look, either way, none of these guys should be on your roster. Drop them all.
Drop them all. They all suck.
It doesn't matter what order you have to do it in.
But exactly. Hopefully you don't own like all 4 of them. Like, he
Yeah,
dropped
I mean,
it for
at
1
that
week.
point, you did not read our preseason stuff because
Dude.
you did not draft how we would have advised you to draft. So
No, sir.
let's go ahead. Let's do the honors. Mid-season MVP. We
Ooh.
have some guys who have absolutely balled out, some total and complete studs, guys who have lifted your team to fantasy nirvana. LQ, who do we got as the nominations for
Well,
mid-season
I gotta go with my
MVP?
boy, mid-season MVP, Josh Allen. He's definitely on this list. Alvin Kamara, Russell
Yes,
Wilson,
sir.
and Derrick Henry. Woo, that's a heavy hitter list. Now, when it comes to running backs versus quarterbacks for MVP, for fantasy, you got to understand week to week, are they putting up stud numbers? All these guys are. Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong, but I'm talking big points. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
sir.
man, oh man, oh man. Who do you want to go on right now?
So I'm going to start with who I think is absolutely. It's been unbelievable to watch him this season. I think he is the NFL MVP at this point. But let Russ cook, Mr. Unlimited, right?
Unlimited.
Colin Cowherd's, I mean, absolute love child. I mean, that Cowherd can't get enough of this guy. But it's been awesome to watch Russ absolutely demoralize defenses this year. He has been incredible. His wide receivers have been unguardable. DK Metcalf has looked unreal. Tyler Lockett had a game where he scored more points than I think my entire roster.
Yes.
It's been absolutely incredible to watch him cook. And he has all of the necessary ingredients to just be an unbelievable fantasy quarterback. He has unbelievable weapons on offense. He is a coach who is now letting him cook for the first time. That offense is running through Russ rather than running and then depending on Russ. It's been great to see. And that defense stinks. I mean, the Seahawks defense is not good. So in order for Seattle to win, they're going to have to put up points, and Russ will do that all year long.
What's crazy is every single year he's in talks of MVP, but it's always been that one thing that kept him away from coming home with it. And it's like the offense didn't run through him. He wasn't putting up crazy numbers every week. He wasn't, airing the ball out and making guys like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf look like freak athletes out there and crushing, fantasy opponents. And like, if he keeps this up for the rest of the season, man, oh man, he's gonna be like basically like number one overall in like quarterbacks, QB1, and that's it.
Absolutely. Verbal meme. There's Buda Baker and then the like DK chase down. Buda Baker is the NFL MVP and the chase down is Russ. I think he's going to get it this year. I think he's going to get that.
He deserves it. It's like the last 2-3 years he's been in talks, but of course you got Lamar Jackson out there. You got Patty Mahomes doing no looks, and you got Lamar Jackson running overall defenses. So it's something attractive to look at. And his stats didn't match up to theirs. This year, knocking it out of the water, man. There's no way he doesn't get it.
Give me all the Russ. So who's your guy? Because I know you have your eye. I can see it. You got a little twinkle in your eye. One of these guys on this list is an absolute stud. I know he's on one of your rosters, and you're just sitting there. You're probably on 7-1, 6-2, maybe 8-0, and you're just sitting there like,
Look,
I got him.
He's been very disappointing to me these last 2 games, though. I got to be honest. Got to go talk about my boy Josh Allen, man. He started off on fire.
Yeah, and it's been really cool to watch. I think some of the coolest things in football is when a team takes their quarterback and they build around his strengths.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson had that happen with him in the Ravens. They built that offense around Lamar Jackson's skill set, and he absolutely blew up last year. And the Bills have done that with Josh Allen. Brian Daboll has called up a great offensive scheme for him. They went out and they traded and got Stephon Diggs, who has been great so far this year. I mean, let's talk about a guy who is exceeding expectations. Josh Allen has just been great. It's been great. It's been, I think the last couple of weeks, he's, hit a rough patch a little bit, and that happens. He's always been a guy who's, had a little bit of a roller coaster skill set up and down. Yeah. But Josh Allen has looked great. He's looked the part. The Bills are front runners to that division, and I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Josh Allen, and especially where you got him at in drafts this year, going around that quarterback 7-8 spot.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has really been great to his fantasy owners.
Yeah, you're getting your bang for your buck there. If you drafted correctly, if you were able to wait and get a QB, he was the guy in the mid rounds that you can get while you have 2 stud running backs, while you have a stud wide receiver, and maybe in a tight end. You know what I mean? If you're drafting correctly. So there's a lot of teams that have been, very happy with his performances. But what keeps him running away from this award mid-season is his last 2 weeks of football.
Yep.
14 points last week, man, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, it's tough to see that from a quarterback. And you speak about running away with things. And there's a man on this planet who every time he touches the football, you have to watch because he just humiliates other human beings. I have never seen so the way I would describe him is essentially he is the Calvin Johnson of running backs. He is just an absolute physical freak of nature. I don't care what you do. I don't care how many guys you put in the box. I don't care how many guys you try and tackle him. Derrick Henry is an absolute machine. And he is a guy, you throw him in your lineup and you don't have to worry about it. He's going to get 20 touches. He's going to get at or close to or over 100 yards.
Yeah.
And all it takes is just one Derrick Henry play, 75 yards, see you later, touchdown. I mean, dude is an absolute beast.
And isn't it crazy? We're only 2 years removed from where we're pissed off that Derrick Henry is only getting 11 touches, 12 touches, splitting with a freaking Deion Lewis, and the offense not waking up knowing they have to run the offense through him. Keep the ball out of your quarterback's hands because they're not that great. They're maybe above average, but Derrick Henry is a freak of nature. You need to give him the ball.
Yeah, I was always kind of like Matt LaFleur, like, what in God's name are you doing? And he's been a great coach for the Packers, but man, I was like, everybody on the internet saw that picture of Deion Lewis standing next to Derrick Henry. And it's like, how do you not put that kid in the game, man?
Yeah, put him in right now. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you have Derrick Henry on your roster, it's just nice. It's nice to have a guy who you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, and it's getting cold out. It's getting cold. They're not going to want to tackle.
That's Derrick Henry's season, man.
Yes, it is, and playoffs are around the corner.
Yes, sir. When All I Want for Christmas Is You starts playing, that's Derrick Henry. I mean, I don't know if he's just jamming out to that before game time, but that's his time, man.
Championship.
That's his time. That's Derrick Henry's season.
Now, this last guy, oh, man. Well, first of all, shout out to Animal, from Big Dog's Gotta Eat. He was the only man in the offseason campaigning for why you should take Alvin Kamara 101. And it's actually paying off. And it's paying off.
I mean, nobody's been better. Nobody's been better.
Nobody. And he's making a case for next year's draft to be 101. I know every year we change the 1 and 3 spot, but it's kind of looking clear as day. You just have to take him regardless of the situation. They have no Michael Thomas, and he's still putting up stud numbers week to week. And it's like, you can't ignore it. You cannot ignore it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alvin Kamara has been incredible to watch. That run against the Packers, or screen pass against the Packers on Sunday night or Monday Night Football earlier in the season. I mean, that's just absolute mind blowing to watch this kid with a ball in his hand. Yeah, Bruce Arians had a quote last week saying, "I coach Marshall Faulk, and this guy's scarier." I mean, that's some high praise, man. That's
crazy high praise, man. So, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts, and I think a lot of guys were burned by Alvin Kamara last year because he missed some time, and I don't think that's stereotypical of Kamara. I mean, I know he's missed a game or two every season.
2 or 3 games, I can deal with that. If you're missing games, that's a problem.
Yeah, well, and especially if you does miss time, if you grabbed his handcuff and Latavius Murray, I mean, just throw Lat Murray right in your lineup and he will do just fine. But so
smart
an
draft.
Unbelievable, if you were to take away every single carry that Alvin Kamara has had this season, every single carry, and only have his passing statistics, Alvin Kamara would be wide receiver 10 by himself.
Self dolo.
Not a single carry. He would be wide receiver 10. That is unbelievable to me. He is on pace to finish with almost 1,200 receiving yards. I mean, it is absolutely unbelievable. So, Alvin Kamara, congratulations. You
Yeah.
have been mid-season fantasy MVP. I don't see you slowing down at any point. And every fantasy owner that has you is going to ride you into the playoffs because they aren't missing it because they have you on your roster.
Exactly. And plus more.
Yes.
More.
Yeah.
Because people were sleeping on him. And I'm like, yo, it's crazy. I think in my home draft, I think he went 8th in the first.
Yeah. I've seen it. I saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire go before him. Like, not that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been bad, but like Alvin Kamara's just prove it, been there, done that, still doing it.
That was just clear hype. That was off-season hype. And a lot of people are realizing most of the off-season hype and most of the coach talk, it's really just bullshit, honestly.
Yeah, especially in a year where we didn't get a lot of preseason. But speaking of CEH and some absolute stud rookies, because we've had a lot this year. This rookie class has been really fun to watch.
And I thought they would suck because of COVID, not having practices, not around the table, no chemistry.
Yep, but man, there have been some guys who have balled out. So I'm gonna go through the list of some rookies who have just absolutely blown up. Man, business is booming. In the words of AB. We got Justin Jefferson out in Minnesota. Dude has been an absolute star. You got T. Higgins in Cincinnati. As a Bengals fan, oh my God, man. He is just, please, like, that Burrow to Higgins connection for the next 4 years on that rookie deal.
Yes.
Oh my God, man. Give it to me. Give me all the Burrow to Higgins. You got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who we just mentioned, who has had a great year. And we got Jonathan Taylor, and I'm going to throw my man. I know he wasn't on our set notes before this, but give me Joe Burrow, quarterback 11 going in.
Let's sub him in. Let's not talk JT. He's been replaced with Burrow, who's been balling the hell out, man. But I'm gonna let you have your time on your Joe Burrow talk, the Tiger King.
All right, I'm gonna do the Tiger King. Joe Exotic. All right, I will give you why Joey Burrow should win this. Joe Burrow is, in my opinion, the front runner for Rookie of the Year. I know Justin Herbert is doing some great stuff out there in LA, but I believe the supporting cast in LA is much better than what Joe Burrow has in Cincinnati. But Joe Burrow has been an absolute fantasy rock star. Quarterback 11. He's shown the ability to do it with his legs. He's had rushing touchdowns. He is 3rd in the NFL in passing yards right now. Not among rookies. 3rd in the NFL in passing yards total. He has been absolutely unbelievable. He is on track to beat Andrew Luck's passing yards record for a rookie. He has just been an absolute stud. And I think that offensive line is actually only going to get better as the season goes on. They beat the Titans last week. They were missing their starting left tackle, left guard, center, and right tackle, I believe. 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen they missed. But that offensive line should only improve. They signed Quentin Spain from the Bills, who was cut earlier this year. That is an immediate improvement at the left guard spot. I am ecstatic for Joe Burrow. He has shown nothing but exceptional play so far this year. And they have 3 NFC East teams coming up on the schedule. They still have to play Dallas, they have to play the Giants, and they have to play the Redskins yet. So there are some games where Joe Burrow, who has led the league in pass attempts, is going to have to throw the ball and is going to be successful because they've shown the ability to put up points on those defenses. Yep. I'm excited. I think if you have Joe Burrow, I will call my shot. Joe Burrow finishes the year as a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
Oh, for sure. Especially with that schedule coming up. He's going to ball out against Dallas, obviously, so I cannot wait for that. I have shares of Joe Burrow and shares of T. Higgins, and I'm going to full send it that week and be sitting back, start and forget, and hoping I come out that week with a dub because that's going to be a massacre.
So you mentioned Higgins. Tell me, you know my infatuation with T. Higgins. He's an absolute stud at Clemson. All right. He is on my Bengals. I am a big fan, but I want to hear you tell me why the guy on my team is an absolute star.
Listen, when I say solid, he gives me Robert Woods vibes last year when it's like consistent, Mr. Consistent. Its volume is key here when it comes to T. Higgins. You have AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon when he's healthy. You have all these weapons around. And I'll throw Drew Sample in there. He showed flashes earlier, but now he hasn't been much in the mix. But he's also another talented offensive weapon. And then you got Joe Burrow who can use his feet. T. Higgins is making a case why you should, trade AJ Green, get rid of him. He's just taking away the volume. You're going to have AJ Green taking 7 targets. So he had like 12 targets one game. And it was just like, if you can split that between Boyd and Higgins,
yeah, absolutely.
Natures, and they're going to make that offensive just, flow. Obviously, the number one corner needs to respect AJ Green because of his name, his history, with his veteran, presence there. You're going to respect that. But then T. Higgins is making these sideline tippy toe catches.
Oh,
pretty like, yo,
the toe drag swag, man. Yes. It's been unbelievable.
But him making plays, that gives me confidence to know when it comes to fantasy next year, he's finding my roster. He's going to be on my roster. I need more shares, put it like that.
If you were in a keeper or a dynasty league, go out and buy all of the T. Higgins. It's gonna be very hard to get because he's absolutely been a stud this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I am very confident that the Bengals will not re-sign AJ Green. They already had him on the franchise tag once. He's 31. He's absolutely underperformed. Has yet to score a touchdown this year. He will be the number one option in that offense. He will be in his second year with a second-year Joe Burrow. I'm going to assume that they draft some sort of offensive line help to give Joe Burrow even more time. That offense is only going to get better. Give me all of the shares of T. Higgins. He's been a top 25 wide receiver so far this year. And really, the first couple of games, he kind of struggled a little bit, getting used to the playbook. Didn't have a lot of snaps. Not that that's T. Higgins' fault.
No.
He has been a star when he's been on the field, but now that he's getting the snaps, give me all of the T. Higgins. If you have a dynasty league or a keeper league, go out and get him.
Oh, for sure, man. And it's beautiful to see that they will have 4 years to, get the contract together to just basically have you guys winning games. And definitely you need the offensive line help. And that's definitely something that needs to be heavily invested because God forbid, Burrow gets hurt. You know what I mean? And then you're taking a step back in talent. You're taking a step back in production, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely protect Burrow, the Tiger King, Joe Exotic at all costs.
Gotta love it.
But does he walk away? Does he walk away with this award? We have yet to talk about CEH and Justin Jefferson.
Look, I'm gonna say my piece on CEH. He has been great. CEH has been great, but a lot of people are invested in him first round picks, right? When you have a first round pick, when you have a first round ADP, you have to perform to first round expectations, and it hasn't been all CEH's fault. That running game just hasn't been awesome. I think they're really missing Laurent. I'm going to butcher his last name, but the offensive lineman for the Chiefs who went and is a doctor and is currently battling COVID in the hospitals right now. Yeah. Shout out to him. But CH just hasn't looked awesome. He's had, don't get me wrong, some great games, some great flashes, but when you invest that first round ADP, he just hasn't quite exploded. So I want you to tell me why Justin Jefferson should win this award, because Justin Jefferson has been great. He has been phenomenal. I think he could not have ended up in a better landing spot from a wide receiver perspective. Stephon Diggs is out, man. And Justin Jefferson, he slid right in. What do you love about him?
I love that he can make the plays. I love that he can be a downfield threat. I love that he's seeing, number two corners. Some of those number two corners are rookies, and he's able to cut them up, get open, create separation. He's very physical on the line. He reminded me of Preston Williams, you know what I mean? Getting off the line, very physical, and be able to get open. But my only problem, the little notch against him is interception Kirk Cousins. And it's like, you got to respect Adam Thielen on the other side. I understand you want to get him the ball. He's your number one, respectively. Mm-hmm. But honestly, if Justin Jefferson was to be more involved in game plan, more involved in like, all right, this play is made for you type ordeal, more than, because watching the games, you get very frustrated. Like, yo, he's open. It's kind of like how Teddy Bridgewater is like treating DJ Moore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
DJ Moore truly is the wide receiver one there, but again, Robbie Anderson out targeting him, out snapping him, just out everything, yards, receptions, touchdowns, all that. So that's where we're at with it with Justin Jefferson. That's what's keeping him from exploding to actually be a wide receiver one every single week, regardless of matchup.
Yeah, and I think the way that Mike Zimmer runs that team is kind of a damper on his production as well. Last week, in a Vikings win, right, they go out and they beat the Packers. Kirk Cousins had 14 pass attempts, I believe, or maybe it was 14 completions. But either way, a very, very low. That offense wants to go through Dalvin Cook. And Dalvin Cook has been unbelievable this year, so they have no reason not to. I think that's the biggest damper on Jefferson's game isn't Jefferson. It's just he's not the number one option in that offense. I mean, obviously, Adam Thielen is a phenomenal wide receiver. So, without further ado, I'm going to say my rookie of the year, and you're going to say your rookie of the year, and we're going to see if we say the same guy. So, 3, 2, 1. T.
Joe
Higgins.
Burrow. Ooh.
Ooh. Hey, look, shout out the Bengals. All right. If you have a Bengals rookie, you're doing all right.
Doing great, man.
My
Definitely. Booming rookies, man.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
What else you got? That's all I got on my categories. I know you got some more. Oh, actually, I'm lying. I just scrolled down.
I was gonna say, man. I was like, look, you sent me the preset notes.
Yeah, I did. I'm lying. But holy shit, we got 2 more that I got, I believe. I'm gonna introduce this one. This is bust/underwhelming rookies, man. Holy hell. First off, Henry Ruggs, J.K. Dobbins, but I'm going to put a little star next to him. A.J. Dillon and Jerry Jeudy. So where do you want to start with it?
I'm going to go ahead and start with A.J. Dillon and just nip this thing right in the butt from the get-go. Look, dude was a tank at Boston College, but that's what he is. He's a tank. He's a goal line back. Don't get me wrong. There is a role for that in the NFL, but when you have Aaron Jones on your roster, you give Aaron Jones the ball.
Yes.
And that's just how it works. I didn't come into the season with incredibly high expectations for Aaron Jones. Jamal Williams was the handcuff, and that's been apparent thus far.
They love him. I don't know what he's doing to have the Packers love him.
I mean, he's been decent. So I'm not going to like chastise the Packers for not using A.J. Dillon. Look, he's a rookie. He was the 3rd running back on that team going in. I didn't draft him. I totally stayed away. So I don't think he's been underwhelming, but I didn't have that high expectations going in the first place.
Yeah, I couldn't almost say he's a bust because he didn't have opportunity, but very underwhelming. It's kind of like I made a case for him to be this guy. Him losing weight, dropping down to 230. I'm like, all right, he's taking it serious. He's eating healthy. You know, dude is built like a tank.
Oh, yeah.
And he showed some pass catching ability as well. So I'm like, hey, maybe he could be a thing over, a guy, Jamal Williams, that's ahead of him, who's always injured. You know what I mean? And then you come into play where he's a tank, goal line back. He's going to have some type of fantasy relevance, some type of matchups or week to week. But no, that's not happening.
Just hasn't quite had it. Nope. So let's talk about these Alabama wide receivers. Henry Ruggs on the Raiders and Jerry Jeudy on the Broncos, I think is a little 2-part story here.
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs was hurt at the beginning of the year. And I think his role in that offense, at least right now, is much better for the Raiders than it is for his fantasy owners. His speed really allows that offense to open up. It really opens up the field for guys like Waller, for guys like Renfro. And it helps Derek Carr tremendously. But I just don't think he's in a really great fantasy-friendly role right now. And it's not Ruggs' fault. I mean, he is an incredible talent, and there have been games where, when he gets the ball, he goes nuts, but he just hasn't had a ton of opportunity. Whereas Jerry Jeudy, I think, is kind of the opposite. He's had the opportunity, but he is now seeing number 1 corners since Cortland Sutton unfortunately went down with an injury earlier this year. And he's had some subpar quarterback play. When Drew Lock went down, that was a little tough on him. But even then, I was never a massive believer in Drew Lock. I think he was a little more hype than actual talent, but neither one has really just stepped up to the plate. So tough to see. I'm not selling in Dynasty by any means. These guys are some studs, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, with Ruggs, man, it's kind of like boom or bust, when it comes to fantasy. And it's like, of course, a division game. Like when it comes to division games, what I preach is basically like you have to throw all the stats out. You have to throw, the defense is ranked this, the offense is ranked that. When it comes to division games, things get messy, man. The team plays you twice a year, every year. They have film on you. They have your coaches, the rap sheets of their scripted game scripts or whatever, and they know what you're going to do. So like Ruggs, against Kansas City, division game, puts up big points when he only had 3 targets and 2 catches to have 118 yards. So it's like, that's not going to happen every game. So it's like, that's my problem with Ruggs. He's really boom or bust. So when it comes to fantasy, even going into next year, I can't invest in a guy like that. I can't invest in a guy that's be touchdown dependent or like a long bomb dependent. I can't do that. I need you as an overall, wide receiver. And that's my problem there. And like you said with Jerry Jeudy, like the key point that I felt really put like a little hit at him was losing Cortland Sutton. That definitely was something like, damn, man, that sucks. That really sucks for Jerry Jeudy more than it sucks for Sutton fantasy-wise. You know what I mean? Because we knew that Drew Lock wasn't like the guy. He wasn't like great. We haven't even seen much of him to be like, yo, Drew Lock next year. But can't lie, I thought him and Fant were going to have like a nice little, connection, and, those two will lock it up. But, and
I mean, that Broncos coach is a great defensive mind. Don't get me wrong. Vic Fangio's done a great job with that defense, but I mean, it's just not an offense. That's not the way that team is built. They're built to win low scoring games in the cold. So it's unfortunate to see, but let's get to, and this is, I'm just going to go ahead and say this is my pick so far is J.K. Dobbins. He had a 100-yard game last week against the Steelers defense, who's been the best defense against running back so far this year. So, I mean, maybe a increased role with Mark Ingram being hurt is great news for Dobbins owners, and he could bounce back in the second half of the year. I'm certainly hoping so because I do have a couple shares of him, but he just hasn't been phenomenal going into it. And that Ravens rushing attack and the Ravens offense as a whole really hasn't been what we expected this year.
They took a step back, and I don't know why. Like, you have to think like Mark Ingram was a top 10 running back last year in fantasy.
Yep.
What the hell's going on right now? You know what I mean? Like, these guys are taking a step back. Even like Mark Andrews has been like wishy-washy, and it's like, what the hell's going on with Jackson? He's playing some top defense. He's playing some good teams. So maybe that's a factor. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Ravens schedule certainly hasn't been kind to them so far this year. I think the division is absolutely better than it was last year. I mean, the Bengals have 2 wins already, so I'm going to chalk that up as them being better than last year. But the Steelers are undefeated. The Browns have 5 wins or 4 wins.
They have 5.
They got 5 wins. So that division is certainly better. The Ravens winning that division last year, their schedule is much more difficult. They play a stout Colts defense this week. But yeah, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. You could argue that Lamar Jackson has had a down year thus far, and I would agree with you. It just hasn't been great. If J.K. Dobbins can get an expanded role, he has the talent. The talent is most certainly there.
It's honestly, I was frustrated when they drafted him because I'm like, man, I mean, I don't want him behind Mark Ingram. I mean, maybe he'll put Mark Ingram in the bed, but that's not what we've seen. We've been seeing this RKO out of nowhere, Gus Edwards, who should have been a nominee as well. But it's like, where the hell did he come from? You know what I mean? And it's like annoying that he's there in that rotation and just hurting the rookie.
Yep, I agree. So that's my pick. I don't know. How are you feeling?
I'm gonna have to go with the most underwhelming obviously would have to be AJ Dillon. He's their pick for me there. I have hope that the back end of this season we'll see something from J.K. Dobbins that'll keep him away from a complete wash, season.
Absolutely. And this is a mid-season award show, so
exactly.
We'll be back. All right. So the last category you got here. All right. We're not talking about your ex-girlfriend, but we are talking about our fantasy rosters. We have trust issues. All right. So there are some guys they've been up, they've been down, they've been in, they've been out. Mm-hmm. What do you have? We got Corey Davis, we got Cooper Kupp, Juju Smith-Schuster, and AJ Green. All right. So tell me, how confident are you feeling in these guys? I'm going to go ahead and throw your Rams. All right. Cooper Kupp. What do we got? What's going on here?
He had 21 targets last week. First of all, that is just what? Like, hold up. It's like the thing is about Cooper Kupp, it all depends on Jared Goff. Jared Goff does some real silly, goofy shit, and I think they're not in sync right now. We've seen too many, passes that are overthrown, too many passes that are behind Kupp, and more so, it's not really Kupp's fault for not performing. But then we go back 2 weeks ago, and Cup dropped 3 passes. That's not something we usually see him. 2 of them in the end zone. That's not something we're used to seeing. And the Dolphins beat us down. The Dolphins came in ready. They had their game plan. They basically knew what McVay wanted to do with Robert Woods and Cup. So it's like you take those 2 out of the game where you try to contain them. Goff is going to do some silly shit. Not saying he didn't throw for 345, I think. You know what I mean? That's a lot of yardage and a hell of a lot of pass attempts to try to come back and win a game. That's the only reason why. But damn, man, Cup for the rest of the season, I'm going to have trust issues. He's definitely going to be based on matchups, but you can't even see that because, like, Miami was a clear win. That should have been – we should have walked all over them. We just had the better offense. We had the better, defense, and it's like, what happened? Just complete shit show. So I'm going to have trust issues with him for the rest of the season. Say play him this week, play him that week.
And it's been a weird year because he has been up and down, but at the same time, Cooper Kupp has had double-digit points in all but 2 games. It's just that those 2 games were very bad at 8 and 4 points. So, I mean, he's been consistent, but not at the same time. So it's been kind of tough. I'm holding my Cooper Kupp shares. I have faith in that Rams offense. I hope they can click. I'm just waiting for what we saw in years past with I need McVay, I need Goff, and I need those wide receivers to all be on the same page. And because when that happens, this offense does not have any limits.
Yeah,
but
stoppable.
We haven't seen it a lot this year yet. So I still have faith in Cooper Kupp. But I'm gonna talk about, I mean, we talked about AJ Green, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse here, but AJ Green, we got a tough schedule coming up from a wide receiver standpoint, other than Dallas. You start whatever wide receiver you have against Dallas, but Washington's been tough. We still have to play the Steelers twice. So just keep that in mind with AJ Green. I personally am not trusting him in my lineups. I think there are other wide receivers who you can throw in there and have a better shot at. So give me AJ Green.
And to really touch on real quick, my biggest trust issues going into this offseason was Corey Davis. Is his breakout year happening right in front of him?
Yeah, it's been flashy. I don't know. Like,
do we trust it for the rest of the season though? That's the problem.
And I don't know. And this is a guy who you could flip a coin and it could go either way. AJ Brown has been absolutely electric. Jonnu Smith has been a little up and down, but he's been all right. And Derrick Henry is as dependable as they come. Exactly. I think what it comes down to is, are the Titans going to be able to put up points, or are they the team that we thought they were?
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill has had some up and down games so far this year. And when he plays well, Davis tends to follow. And when he doesn't play well, Davis tends to not show up in the box score. So,
or he just be mediocre, and it is what it is. But
he is going to be he's going to be a matchup guy for me. But at least putting him into my lineup, it's going to be matchup dependent.
Like when I put him in my lineup, he's definitely a flex. He's nothing more, or wide receiver 3, or league format you at. But he hasn't had any game under double-digit points in PPR formats. Mm-hmm. You look at a guy like that that's doing that week after week after week, and then you start a guy like Deontay Johnson who put up 1 point. What the hell are you doing? And then you got Corey Davis on your bench throwing up 20-plus points, and it's like, trust issues, man. I should have trusted you.
Absolutely.
And again, his history. Look at his history the last couple of years, man. He's been hurt. He's been injured, very underwhelming, and we thought it was over for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's good to at least have a little bit of faith, because we haven't had that in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So last guy we're going to talk about here with the trust issues, Juju Smith-Schuster. It's been tough. We've seen some weird things out of this offense. Chase Claypool's been an absolute monster, and as a Notre Dame fan, I love it. I love to see it. As a Bengals fan, I don't love to see it, because did the Steelers just draft another gem at wide receiver? I think they did, but I think the biggest issue for Juju Smith-Schuster is just how this offense is utilizing him. His air yards are way down, even compared to last year with poor quarterback play. So he's just being used a little more conservatively. That being said, the Steelers do have a much better schedule coming up. They play Dallas, and they should trounce Dallas. It should not be a game. But that being said, If Juju can't score points on Dallas, Juju can't score points on anybody. So I think this is going to be the biggest tell going forward, whether or not you could trust him in your lineup. You have to play him against Dallas. You don't really have unless your wide receiver room is stacked. I think you got to play him against the worst pass defense in football. But yeah, it's been tough. What do you think on Juju?
My problem with Juju is I like to say volume is key. He has the volume. He has targets. He's getting the looks, but he's just not producing. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what it is, what's clicking, what's not clicking. You know, is it really Claypool and Deontay Johnson in a way? You know what I mean? And like Juju's trying to get paid here. You know what I mean? He's coming up on
contract year.
So you know what I mean?
Coming up on it.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know what's going on. So they're definitely not going to pay him if they got Clay and Deontay showing up and showing out. That's going to be an issue. And
we need Deontay to stay healthy. I mean, when he's been on the field and when he's been healthy and he's finished games, he's looked great. You need to see that out of a guy.
I tweeted this the story of owning Deontay Johnson. It's like, man, when he's healthy, he sucks. But when he's hurt and he comes back and he's healthy, he blows up on your bench. Like, dude, what am I supposed to do with you?
And I don't know, man. It's pained me all year.
Bro, I start him. He'll shit the bed. I'm like, all right, screw this guy. He's coming back from an ankle injury. He's coming back from the back injury. Now he's going to sit on my bench. And he shit, and like he just fucking explodes on my bench.
Yep.
Like, you son of a bitch. I could have won because of
absolutely
issues. He should have been in this category.
Yes. Yeah, true. True.
He'll be top winner. But
yes,
he would win in this category for real. Trust issues.
For me, it's got to be Corey Davis. Out of all the guys on this list, he is the one who hasn't shown it on a consistent level at any point in his career yet, right? So Juju's had years where he's shown that he's been able to do it. Cooper Kupp has shown that he's been able to do it. AJ Green, although I don't think he's going to do it anymore this year, and we've talked about him. You at least know what you have, and you know what you've seen there. Corey Davis has just been so up and down. You don't know yet. You don't know. So 100%. For me, that's my biggest issue.
Yeah, that's the biggest trust issue, especially with playoffs around the corner. And do you see him in your playoff first round starting lineup?
If you do, you might want to make a move before the trade deadline.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, which is in like 2-3 weeks in some leagues. Yep. It's like you might want to start thinking about that because it's like, man, I can't have him as, my first round playoff matchup and have him as my wide receiver 3 or flex and actually pray to God he brings home like 15 or 20 points, which is kind of hard for him to do with that offense running through Derrick Henry.
Yep. I absolutely. And it is what it is. It's a run first offense. So,
yeah.
All right. Before we head out of here, I'm going to put you on the spot, LQ, because I do have one category that we did not prepare for, and it is not in your notes. So I want to see the magic work at the tip of your fingers, right?
Let's do it.
You have to pick a waiver ad that is going to win you a league. Okay. And I'm going to give you 3 names, and you're going to tell me which one you think is going to be on the most rosters of championship teams this year. All right.
Ooh.
We have at the 1-1 for the waiver wire spot. He has been an absolutely electric running back. He is an undrafted free agent. He has filled a bell cow role after that role was left abandoned. James Robinson of the Jaguars has been a stud, an absolute stud. And some guys picked up on him like, man, Raquel Armstead's out. I don't even know who the Dare Agumbawale. It's like, I'll take a flyer. I'll stash James Robinson on the end of the bench. And then now they're sitting there like, oh, you want to trade CEH for James Robinson? No, that's not going to be enough. So so you got James Robinson. All right. Number 2. All right, we touched on him, but Myles Gaskin has been an absolute stud for Miami, right? Top 20 running back so far. And then at number 3, wide receiver, he has come out of Old Dominion, I believe. Maybe. I don't know. This wide receiver showed up out of nowhere, okay? People couldn't even pronounce his name on the first time he showed up and showed out. Travis Fulgham on the Eagles has been right now. He is the top 30 wide receiver, and he's played in 5 games. He has been in an offense that has needed reliable targets, the most reliable target for Carson Wentz. So, LQ, you have to tell me
Hard
Out
one.
of those 3 guys, who is going to be on the most championship rosters?
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a league winner right there.
Who's winning? Who's going to be on the league winner, man?
I find myself I want to lead. I want to lean towards Fogelman, and I just
I
gotta
love
say,
that.
I just gotta say, man, he's been electric. He's been great. He's made Wentz not look as bad. I think
Mhm.
right now I seen like this crazy ass post that he has more fantasy points in the last 5 games than DeAndre Hopkins, than Devontae Adams.
This is correct. I have seen the same post, unless the internet's lying to us, which the internet has never lied to me ever.
But Jesus, that is impressive, man.
Yeah.
For a guy that has the story he has, undrafted, and just literally next man up. It wasn't even like his number would have been called if they had all starting, wide
Yep.
receiver. He just kind of made his way through, and boom, there he is. He's showing up and showing out. There's no way they don't put him on the field, regardless of Deshaun Jackson. Please go away. Alshon Jeffrey, please go away. And it doesn't matter who else they draft next year or pick up in, free agency or whatever. He needs to be on the field as the wide receiver 1. Done deal.
Yep. And so we are in agreement here. Don't get me wrong. James Robinson has been absolutely electric. I just don't have a ton of faith in that Jaguars team, especially now that that mystery hand injury showed up for Minshew and they're starting.
And then a week before that, they said they were
Jake Glenn. Yeah. So they're going with a quarterback change. Makes me a little nervous, but man, Travis Fulgham has been an absolute stud. I think it will actually help him to have a couple of those Eagles weapons come back with Dallas Goedert back in the lineup, Jalen Reagor back in the lineup. Yeah, give me all the Fulgham. I have him in a couple leagues. Rest of season, like Fulgham or Mike Evans. I'm taking Fulgham. I'm taking Fulgham.
Let's say 9 times out of 10, I'm taking him.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with AB coming to the Buccaneers.
And he's a freak athlete to where I think it's going to be a plug and play. So it's going to be something to watch.
Yep, absolutely. All right, LQ, wrap it up. Close up shop.
Well, I want to thank you guys, all the people that were watching. I know we got some big views in here. A lot of people are here. We got 6 people still rocking with us after an hour. I appreciate you guys for coming to the show with me and Cody, killing it for the mid-season awards, recapping the first 8 weeks of fantasy football, even with injuries, COVID, bye weeks coming in, screwing people over. It's a lot of things we got to deal with, and hopefully we make the playoffs, and hopefully we bring home the gold, people. So I want to thank you guys for coming through. Make sure you follow my boy Cody. Give him your plug-in.
You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on the YouTube. Wherever there is social media, I am there. At Smash Hit Sports. Give me a follow. I will be tweeting out all things football all year long. We're going to keep it positive. We're going to keep it moving because we got football and it's the greatest sport on the planet, baby. Yeah. Let's go. LQ, where can they find you at on all things social?
Oh, Real Deal Fantasy.
Yes, sir.
Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, in real life. It doesn't matter. Just follow me because I'm here, baby, to talk fantasy football, and we are here and great and positive and alive.
And we're here for you guys. We are here for you guys. We're trying to win. We're trying to win. And we're trying to make you trying to win. Yeah, that's all. That's what it's all about, man. We're here to have fun, and it's a pleasure always having you on, Cody, for real. Hey, yes, sir. Can't wait till the next time. All right, man. Let's get out of here. Peace.